Hey, the dad here. I just want to work you through a video on some basic conversions. In this video, what you're going to learn to do is you're going to learn how to convert between different metric measurements and how to convert one rate of speed to another rate of speed. So let's start with metric conversions. So before we actually get into the metric conversions, let's talk just quickly about what each of these lengths is. So your basic units, your distances, your lengths, if you will, in metric are millimeters, centimeters, meters, and kilometers. Those are kind of the most basic measurements that there are. Most common, I should say. Not most basic, most common. 1 millimeter is about the thickness of a dime. So if you turn a dime on its side, that's how big a millimeter is. A centimeter, it's about the diameter of the top of a battery, say a AA battery. A meter, well, it's about the height of a large dog, say a Saint Bernard. And a kilometer, well, for me, a kilometer is about the distance from my house to the nearest grocery store. So those are your basic measurements, metric measurements, most commonly used ones anyway. In science, the most common ones are probably meters and kilometers. I should say in physics anyway. Okay, so converting between different metric measurements. All right. So let's start with an example. So here we have how many meters are in 3.2 kilometers. Okay, so what I like to do is I'll set up my 3.2 kilometers on one hand, and then I know that I want to get to so many meters. That's what I'm looking for. Then what I do is I'm going to multiply by the conversion between kilometers and meters. Okay, and there are 1,000 meters in 1 kilometer. Now the reason I put the 1,000 meters on top and the 1 kilometer on the bottom is I want to cross reduce units. I just want to be left with meters. I want to get rid of those kilometer units. So I'm going to cross out the kilometers. When we're cross reducing or crossing out units, we want to cross out one of the unit on the top, like in the numerator, and one of the same unit on the denominator. And you'll notice that what we're left with is meters. So now I just simply multiply my numbers together. 3.2 times 1,000 is 3,200 meters. So there are 3,200 meters in 3.2 kilometers. Now converting between different metric measurements again, now this is going to be a different question because we're going to work with speed this time, or velocity. Excuse me. So 130 meters per second is how many kilometers per second? So we've got two different units here that we have to deal with. So I've got 130 meters for 1 second, and I want to turn that into so many kilometers per second. Now I'm keeping the time measurement the same, so I don't have to worry about multiplying by any time conversions. But it looks like I'm going from meters to kilometers, so I'm going to multiply by the distance conversion. So I'm going to multiply by 1 kilometer is 1,000 meters. Now again, the reason I'm putting the 1 kilometer top and 1,000 meters on the bottom is because I want to cancel out the meters. Cross reduce the meters. And you'll notice that I'm left with just the two units that I'm looking for, kilometers and seconds. So 130 times 1 is 130 kilometers, that should say km. And 1 times 1,000 is 1,000 seconds. Now you need to convert these to unit rates. So you go 130 divided by 1,000 because we want it per 1 second. And so our answer is 0.13 kilometers per second. Okay, let's try something a little bit more complicated. Something that versus something like in a word problem. So your average speed of a volleyball spike is 132 kilometers per hour. That's really fast. That's like, well, it's almost as fast as say my wife drives when she has to get to somewhere in a hurry. What is that speed in meters per second? Well, you'll notice that you've got kilometers per hour here. You've been given kilometers per hour. We've got to convert that to meters per second. 132 kilometers per hour is how many meters per second? So I have 132 kilometers for 1 hour. I want to turn that into so many meters per second. So I've got a double conversion here because I'm going from kilometers to meters, hours to seconds. First thing we're going to do is we're going to multiply by our distance. So we know that our 1,000 meters is 1 kilometer. Again, I put the kilometers on the bottom, meters on the top, because I'm going to cross reduce those kilometers. And then I'm going to multiply by my time conversion. I know that 1 hour is equal to 3,600 seconds. There are 60 seconds in 1 minute and 60 minutes in 1 hour, so that's why you have to go 60 times 60 to get the 3,600 seconds. And I put the hours on top because I want to cross-reduce the hour units, one on the numerator, one on the denominator. Okay, so I'm left with just meters and seconds left. So I go 132 times 1,000 times 1, that gives me 132,000. And then 1 times 1 times 3,600 is 3,600 seconds. I have to convert it to 1 second. So 132,000 divided by 3,600 is 36.7 meters per second. So that's how fast a volleyball spike travels, which is pretty fast. Okay, well there you have it. That's how to do these basic conversions of metric measurements. Sometimes you get the basic conversion, say how many meters are in this many kilometers, all the way up to sometimes you get these double conversions where you've got something like this where you get kilometers per hour, you got to convert it to meters per second. Okay, have a fantastic math day.